Hey everybody, we are sitting down with Bret and Lindsey again today for another Q&A. So Q&A round 2.
What are you trying to hit?
Fly. Apparently I couldn't hurt a fly.
You guys had a lot of questions from last time, and so we just pulled several more from there. And we're just going to toss it over to Bret and Lindsey and just hear what you guys have to say and just have a great conversation. So
Great.
Super pumped. Let's start from the beginning. We're going to roll it all the way back. I know there's going to be a lot of people who already know kind of the origins of Ryan and Rose, but let's start there. So tell me kind of the origin story of the company.
You first.
Well, we started with the Cutie clip.
Yeah.
It was originally just designed just for Ryan. She was just trying to make something. She was always
Meeting
in the
our
arts and
need.
crafts and
Yeah.
just things we needed. And then people started reaching out saying they would like to buy that, and that's kind of where the idea came from. But
Yeah, Ryan was using the Soothie pacifier, and so Penny, I know I say this story all the time, but she used to eat them.
our dog.
Our dog Penny, and you'll probably
Our
hear
golden
her
doodle.
in the video soon. But yeah, and so I was like, everything on the market or on Etsy was like really long or unattractive, and so that's kind of was like, well, I felt the Lord saying, make your own, and that's what we did. But yeah, at first it was just to meet my needs, and then it was like people were like, hey, will you sell that? And that's kind of when it turned into a business. But what's crazy is from the very beginning, once I felt like the Lord saying, do this, I knew it was going to be big. I knew this.
Yeah, early on, the first year in sales, we probably did, I think, sold $900 worth of product.
Yeah.
But even then, Lindsey always had the vision that she said this is going to be $1 million business one
Yeah.
day. And
I remember going to girls' night and telling them that, and I'm sure they laughed at me. What does she think? Really? And I
she
remember,
always had that vision.
yeah, I always knew, and I always had complete faith that this was going to be something. Even when it's kind of cool to go back and look at when we created, the website, when we created the name. I knew I didn't want to call it Cutie Clips because I knew God was going to do. We were going to sell other things.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be bigger than just Cutie Clips. But it's basically just meeting Ryan's need. But back then in 2013, there were no short clips on the market. And,
Everything was 18 inches.
my
So we're not talking about
Yeah.
we shortened
dragging
2
the ground.
This is
Yeah.
And-
6 to 7 inches. So it's almost a whole foot shorter.
Yeah, I have old pictures and just hey, that's not safe. And then, we started, trying our own.
Yeah.
And now the short clip is what's norm now,
It's the standard.
It's standard, but we were the first to do that in 2013. So it's just really cool to see how that's changed, and even testing and being, and even in the beginning we wanted safety, quality, style, and function. It's always been at the core of Ryan and
Yeah,
Rose.
there's a lot of components there other than it's just a short clip.
Yeah.
There's more there that's
Yeah.
going on, and that's intentional. Well, cool. Then how did you guys come up with the idea for, I guess, was it the next product was the Cutie Pat? Is that right?
We had the Cutie Teether,
Okay.
and then I guess, the Cutie Pat was
After the Cutie was
next.
the Cutie Pat. And that was brought about from our second daughter, Charlie, that just wouldn't take a pacifier.
And I was like, I sell pacifier clips.
Dozens
You're going to
of
take a pacifier.
pacifiers.
Yeah. We tried everything. I bought everything on Amazon, Target, Walmart. I tried them all.
Nothing
And
worked.
And so,
Nothing.
yeah.
She just wasn't interested.
She's like, this is our business.
Yeah.
Our baby's going to wear a clip. So we have to have something to attach to it. So the original idea was to just make a small teeter that was wearable.
Yeah.
And then it kind of morphed into the idea of I can do 2 in 1. It could be a pacifier on one side and a teeter on the other.
Yeah.
That she came up with. And
And I feel like from the very beginning, when it's kind of thing like Cutie Clips, God gave me the vision, and then it was Cutie Pat. It's I know what I want it to look like. I know what, so I had my friend Courtney come over, and I kind of told her what I wanted, and she drew it out. And, but just having that vision and praying for that vision. But yeah, I wanted a small teether that could attach, because all the teethers, even the teether we sold, was too big. It was, you don't want to, you can attach them, but, you don't want them walking around all day with the big teether hanging from their shirt. And so that's kind of where it started out as just, first the idea for a teether is in everything that we sell, we like to be multifunctional. The Cutie Clip can be attached to teethers and toys and sippy cups.
Yeah.
And, Cutie straps, you can use them for AirPods or sunglasses or regular glasses. So everything we create is intentional.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so it's just really cool.
Was it scary, going into a product like that where, clips are one thing, but then actually creating your own pacifier and like trying to figure out how to get that molded and created and then manufactured.
For sure.
What was that like?
I think at the first luckily our manufacturer we've already been
knew
working.
a lot of the guidelines as far as
Yeah.
where the breathing holes have to be,
Yeah.
how thick this has to be,
Yeah.
what are the standards, who you get testing from.
Right.
So that was a huge godsend from them.
Yes, and we even prayed, oh my goodness, like we looked at U.S. manufacturers. Like I was in contact with like 2 different U.S. manufacturers, and a lot of them didn't know anything about the baby world,
Interesting.
or it was going to be a year before we could even get a sample, and just the cost was so high. And and I was really like, what are people going to think if it's not made in the USA and it's made in China? And so that was something I struggled with back then, even trying to pray about and figure out what to do. But I mean, Judy, my manufacturer, we call her Judy. She's my BFF.
I text every night.
Yeah, we text every night, usually.
Or morning.
But it was a godsend that like people are like, how'd you find her? I'm like, she found me, and that was God. It was 100% the Lord, because she's been our angel and just so amazing to deal with. Because a lot of people that I'm friends with have manufacturers, and they don't have the relationship that me and
Gotcha.
Judy have,
Yeah.
and it's just really, it's pretty amazing. But even like when we were looking at U.S. manufacturers, it was just expensive. They didn't know anything, and so it's just like Judy already knew all the, the holes have to be this size and can't be this far from the edge, and so all of those things that.
Yeah, that allowed you guys to really like take massive steps that maybe you weren't going to be able to do it otherwise.
Yeah.
At other points.
I feel like the process would have been much longer.
Oh my goodness.
Without them. So
Yeah.
it was huge.
Got a guest appearance here.
Yep, Jackie boy.
Jackie boy.
So going from there, what was kind of the biggest turning point for the company? At what point did you guys maybe like wake up one day and we're like, wow, things are taking a big turn. We're not just selling $900 of product.
Yeah, probably two different occurrences. One was when she became full time. She quit teaching and put
That was
100%
when again?
of her heart.
December 2016.
16.
Yeah. And I'd worked there 11 years.
Yeah.
And I juggled both for so long, and it just got to the point like, all right, it's time. Like God was like, come on, Lindsay, what are you waiting for? Let's do this. And even then, like I started working at Ford because, I just couldn't let go of, like financially,
Just
I
the
still
security
wasn't,
of-
I still wasn't paying
You could
myself.
still, work half a day at Ford and pay for insurance and things like that.
Yeah.
But
And then when Charlie came, then I stopped Ford. And so I think that's July, I quit Ford. And 100% after that, it was like,
Yeah,
once I
taking
put
off.
100% of myself into Ryan and Rose, and like, okay, we're going to do this.
But obviously when the Cutie Pat released, that was
Yeah.
a big turning point sales-wise. But I don't think we would have got to that point if she hadn't have been fully committed or
Yeah.
Right. Because we,
made that commitment.
people think it's just the Cutie Pat, but it's like our clips, like they're together. There's Penny. I told you she would come.
She makes an appearance.
But yeah, definitely quitting, 100%, and then the Cutie Pat for
Which
sure.
was in like 2017.
That was,
right?
yeah, 17.
So what's
Actually released in 18.
Yeah.
18? Gotcha.
Thought of
Designed in
October.
17.
Yeah.
Yes, 2017.
What's been the biggest challenge? And I think we touched a little bit on some of this in the last video, but what's been one of your biggest challenges in just owning this particular business?
I mean, I'm going to speak for Lindsay on this part. I mean, there's a few, but I think for her is time management. Like, she's needed
Everywhere.
more than 24 hours a day, but you only get so many.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I sit here and answer everything on my phone and text, or do I go over here and do bookkeeping, or let's design for next month and
Pick colors.
colors, and there's so much to it, and there's just really not enough time in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm okay with decisions, and sometimes I just get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh, like even colors, but then even how many to order, like how many beads, like we're
Decisions
ordering.
too. Like just
Yeah, we're ordering 3
we've
months in
talked about
advance.
that. Anytime. I mean, any decision, however small it is, from small to huge, when you're the boss, you have to make that decision.
Yeah.
The buck stops with you.
Yeah.
Just the pressure of always having to constantly do that.
Yeah, and trying to build your brand and your team, and you want them to represent you and what you believe in, but also, I don't know. It's
Came
hard.
a long way from somebody that can't make up her mind what they eat.
What do you
Give
want
her
to
three
eat? I
options,
don't know.
narrow it down to two. She still can't make up her mind. But
Yeah.
give her a huge business decision, she can be decisive.
That's probably hasn't changed because she's probably like, I've made all these decisions all day long. I need
I
you
don't
to
care.
just decide
don't
what we're eating. For
Yeah,
dinner.
still I'm like I don't care, but I think too like employees has been hard for me, which I would think that's like the number one answer for most businesses and
people.
people,
Right.
and because they're real and they have emotions and feelings and opinions, and I think balancing all the opinions and the emotions and it's hard, and it can be very draining as well because you want to do the right thing and you want to do what's best for your team, and you want to be fair, and it can be overwhelming. And us, like, it's our house, so trying to balance it all, and I wouldn't change it, and I've learned so much. My goodness, I've learned so much in just the last few years. But the other day you're like, I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself and making those decisions, because Lindsay a few years ago probably couldn't have done that, but I'm
She
different.
couldn't tell somebody no 2 years ago, much less,
Yeah.
just all the things she
And
has to go through.
I have to
as a
say
business
no a
owner.
lot now. Like, can you do this podcast, or can you meet this person? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I just can't,
Yeah.
because there's so many
It
hours.
goes back to time.
Yeah.
You gotta
you only have
protect
so
your
much.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, taking a little bit of a turn and going in a different direction, then we're going to talk a little bit about sign language, and then more personal about you guys relationally. So somebody asked, what is the best way for an adult to learn sign language?
So I would definitely say
I say watch her stories.
Yeah.
And we have YouTube videos up,
Yes.
so that's a great place to start.
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, if you're really, like, if you have a deaf child, or you're like really gung-ho and you're like, this is like your desire, you want to, I would definitely look locally. Like, that's the best way you're going to learn, is if you're around deaf individuals.
Like a class.
Yeah, like a class. That was my first class. It was Deaf Connect, downtown Memphis. Like, go to a class like once a week. A lot of times they're free or very, very cheap. Now, if you're just like want to learn basics, go to YouTube. Like, that is your perfect source. I know now, I haven't really been in the education world for a while, but I know there's like online courses and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they're like, I want to be an interpreter. And we're like, they think they can just take a few classes. And I'm like, no, like, if you legit like want to be an interpreter, like, you need to go to get your
Just like
your
any other
bachelor's.
second language.
Yes.
Yeah.
But definitely I recommend, probably the most is doing local classes.
Yeah.
Find a deaf church in your area. Be around deaf people. That's where you're going to learn the fastest. But definitely YouTube as well.
Gotcha.
And find some deaf people on Instagram. Follow them, and
Where did
encourage
you? Where did your, to kind of go from there? Where did your passion for sign language come from?
So I kind of have a story I tell, but I don't know, it's kind of a bad story. I don't know. So in high school, I didn't really have a talent. And so one of our pastors at the church was a coda, which is a child of deaf adults. And so he would teach us songs. And so that was kind of where my love started for sign language and music. I can't sing, but I love signing a song. And that's probably my favorite thing now, is interpreting. I love interpreting music. It's where my heart's at. So from there, even when I did that in high school, like did pageants, and that was my talent. And then from there, when I was a senior in high school, I took classes at the local interpreting agency. And then from there, it was just like the Lord said, I want you to be an interpreter. And so I went to...
I remember one day you were like, I can make a career out of this. So,
Yeah.
I could become an interpreter.
Yeah.
And then you went and got your degree for it.
Yeah, so I went to the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and got my bachelor's in American Sign Language with a minor in deaf education. And I thought I was going to be an interpreter for 30 years. And then I did that as an educational interpreter, did video relay interpreting. We did another video kind of talk about my jobs and how it's kind of cool where God led us. But then after that, it's like God's like, oh, no, I want you to be a teacher for the deaf. And then I went back and got my master's. And I'm so grateful. I love teaching, but I was so grateful I had the language first as an interpreter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I had both sides of the teaching and the language.
You've said numerous times how all that has prepared you for the role you're in now.
Oh my
From
goodness.
teaching to
Being in front of the camera, to being able to
working with
lead
multiple
people.
personalities.
Yeah,
and
definitely been so beneficial.
Yeah, I remember that was a connection point you started talking about in the work testimony
Yeah.
video. It was just that that everything that you've gone through has been purposeful in leading you up to where you are now, and that there's not something that's happened that has been in vain. You know,
Right.
It's all been preparation.
Yeah, and it's cool to see how it's kind of all, lined up for now.
Yeah.
And even people are like, "What do you see yourself in 10 years?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's see where God
Yeah,
takes us." Like,
exactly.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because people were like, "You need a 10-year plan." I'm like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah, I mean, it's good to set goals.
Yeah.
It's good to set goals, but like you said, you had no idea that all that stuff was going to lead to this,
Yeah.
nor could you plan for the next
Yeah.
5-10 years. Exactly.
Like I never wanted a business. I never dreamed of having a brand and have employees. And so it's like, all right, God, what's next?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Bring it.
Bring it.
So moving on to you guys, how did y'all two meet?
High school sweethearts. But
98.
yep, 1998. So what, 21 years ago now? In September it will be. So I went to meet some of my friends at a soccer game. I just happened to be working in the area, and they're like, "Hey, we're over here." So I went and met my buddy Eric. It was actually at Houston Middle School.
Gotcha.
And his girlfriend had brought Lindsay along with her, and I instantly saw her, and I was like, I want to date her, but in the back of my mind, I was like, that's the girl I want to marry. Like, some people don't believe that story, but it's true,
Instantly.
and here we are now. But
I don't remember seeing him that day, but I remember the first time I saw him, like, I remember him, but it's like, he's out of my league. Like, you're a junior, I was a freshman,
Yeah.
so it's like,
That
not
gap,
even,
yeah.
like, not even a possibility, but it was our first date, September 19th, 1998. It was a Florida.
Tennessee
See.
was playing Florida. We went to a friend's house and watched that game.
We
and
won, right?
We won, which is rare. It was huge. We went on to win the national championship that year, Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
It was a good date.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that we've been together longer than not being together, like 21 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty
You'll
cool.
be 35, and we've been together 21, so
Yeah. It's crazy.
So what?
easy to think about.
Yeah, how has that affected? Just, I mean, in jumping into a business. So like a lot of times, maybe a couple will try something when they're early in their marriage or early in their relationship, but to have that nice foundation where you guys have been together for so long, just trusting each other
Yeah,
in a new venture.
I think we complete each other very well. Like, he's very laid back. Now I'm very laid back. And we've rubbed off on, like, our positive characteristics have kind of rubbed off on the other, but we
Yeah.
balance each other really, really well. But yeah, if you would have told me 10 years ago we would be working together, I would have probably laughed at you. Like, no. You're going to be interpreting? What?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's cool. Even like his, he did heat and air with his family business, like having all that he's learned and to apply it to our job
Yeah.
and, leading people and working with other people. And so it's just really cool to see both of our, histories come together
Yeah.
and,
And now I can't stand a messy counter either.
yes. I do not like stuff on my counters. No toaster, nothing.
Forget
blank.
dishes. He's
No
talking about
dishes.
appliances.
Yeah.
No appliances, nothing.
Get it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got to keep the Keurig.
Yeah.
So taking another turn too, and staying down in the personal vein, but is it hard sharing your faith through social media?
Let me go first. You.
You're the main one, so I'm just behind the scenes.
Yeah. I would say it's easy for me. I think it's really beautiful that I get to show others that, like, look, I'm a Christian. I love me some Jesus, but I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Like, I live a normal life and I make mistakes and I'm not perfect and I'm learning every day. But I think sometimes labels get put on Christians as like, oh, there's all these rules to follow and, so many traditions. And it's like, no, it's not about that. It's about loving Jesus, loving others. And I think it's just really cool to see how I get to show that in real life. Like, I'm struggling. I have the highs and I have the lows, and I think it makes people feel like they can relate to me because they can. Like, they're going through what I'm going through a lot of times, and I pray all the time, like, Lord, use me, and sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing my best.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like man, I should be sharing more. I should be more talking about about my faith. And I think it's good too. It's like not pushing my faith on anybody. And I'm a really big supporter of like, you do you.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to show you what we do and what works for my family. So yeah, but just showing others, it's just really cool how even when I quit teaching, like it was more about I'm gonna quit teaching to sell cutie clips, but really no, it's like God, no, I want you to quit teaching so you can share my love. I want you to quit teaching so you can reach more people and share about me. And it's like like it's not just about pacifiers and cutie clips. It's about like why we're here, like the what he's done for us and our family. Yeah, there's so much purpose in that. And so for me, it's more about sharing my life and the realness of like I struggle, I make mistakes, but it doesn't matter. My sin's equal to your sin. Like we're not perfect. We're all sinners, but Jesus doesn't care. He loves us no matter what. Yeah. And I think being able to show that too is really, really not just cool, but like a privilege. Like it's really awesome. That's how I feel.
It's not preaching at people. It's just honest living.
Like this is what we do. Yeah. This is we're here on earth to love others and to love each other and support and just tell everybody that Jesus, you can have what we have. Yeah. You can have the love that Jesus gives us. Like that's available to you.
Yeah. For sure. Bret, anything there?
Amen. Preach, sister.
Nothing more to say.
Keegan, who works for us, he's a preacher. You work with him a lot, and he calls me Preacher Lindsey. Like, preach, Lindsey, preach! Because a lot of times I'll do a bunch of stories.
I told him no pressure, I said, but you're preaching to 700,000 people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like when he told me that for the first time, I was like, wow, like I'm talking to more people than most preachers talk to.
Yeah.
Like,
huge platform.
Okay, a little pressure, like, but also to say like, I'm just like you. And so.
Yeah, you're not trying to be on some pedestal.
No.
And I think that's the difference maker is that a lot of times people will see people of affluence and status and be like, I just can't relate to them,
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's hard sometimes because I do feel like sometimes like they're like, I get put on these higher expectations, like, oh, you're a Christian, and people expect things out of me, and it's like I make mistakes, like I make mistakes all the time, and you got to give some grace, and it's not my place to judge others. Yeah. And I think that's where kind of Christians get the bad name sometimes. I used to be that type of Christian, like judging others, and it's like that's what I strive not to do. It is not my place. It is not. That's not what I'm here on earth to do. I'm here to live my life, love Jesus, love others, and give my life to Him. And I feel like that's what we've done. And once I gave my life to Him fully, we'll talk about in another video of my prayer journals. Like it's like wow, like giving Him full control is just once you do that, like you have no worries, you have no stress. I mean, I still have stress, but like when I realize I have that stress, I give it to Him, and it's like. Wow, like
there's a
this
certain
is possible.
security there.
Yeah. So
that makes that possible.
And being able to show others, you can have that too.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's been, I don't know how many questions, but several questions with Bret and Lindsey. I just wanted to continue the conversation there, and I know we're gonna have more conversations in the future as Ryan and Rose just continues to grow and things happen, and there's more and more to talk about. So thank you guys for answering the questions, and guys, we will see you on another video.